Hello and welcome to today's halftime team talk. We're still here and we're still talking about international football, and England are in crisis. No goals in open play since Gaza scored against Scotland, relegated from their Nations League group, and we asked the question, should England fans be worried? Would a good result or performance against Germany change anyone's mind? We also touch on other results in Europe as we ask, is anyone in Europe actually any good with defeats for France, Spain and Germany? And that's today's halftime team talk. Today on the podcast with me, we've got Gio.
Hello.
Fryer.
Hello.
CB.
Hiya.
And Tom.
Yeah.
Let's just get straight into it. Let's talk about England. Obviously lost the other night 1-0 at the San Siro. Their last game at the San Siro, incidentally, before he gets knocked down and rebuilt. I know you had some thoughts on the game, CB.
It was pretty poor. I'm not gonna lie. It's not exciting to watch England. I feel like it's even before Southgate, England are quite boring. I think they're quite defensive minded. It just wasn't nice to watch.
It feels like there's so much emphasis on defending when we've got such good attacking talent in the team as well.
Oh yeah,
it's like today. Like, obviously, England are playing as we record this against Germany, and he sent home Trent. And the other day, when we needed a goal, like someone like that is perfect to bring on, but it's just sent him home.
Yeah, it's I mean, yeah, you are right though, because you've got all these attacking talent players. Instead of trying to think how can I fit these players in, it's more how do I get 3 right backs into the team?
Didn't Saka play left wing back?
Yeah, which I don't think he had a pretty poor game, I thought, but
he can't be blamed if he's playing in that position.
In fairness, he doesn't really play left wing back even for Arsenal. He's played maybe once in like 18 months, so. In fairness, he's set up to fail there. He's playing a position he's not used to. He's better on the wing, as in actually like a left forward.
No, I don't. The game seems like so long ago now, actually, thinking about it, but just seemed to be no service for Kane. Like, Kane was dropping off and he was just never getting the ball.
It's quite mad, though, when you think of the talent which England have up front. They got Phil Foden started. He didn't have his best game, but I'd probably say he was probably the better.
He did better than Sterling.
Sterling, I think he's hit and miss. I think he's good, but he's frustrating too in the same. Then you had Jack Grealish
He didn't start, did he?
But when he came on, he had added bits to the game.
Yeah, he showed a bit of intent, didn't he? But didn't really do anything. No.
And when you consider all the players we've got, or even players we didn't even pick, which may have a chance. Even Trent, like you said, when you want a goal, you'd probably throw Trent onto the last 10 minutes, just try and get a goal, even if it means defensively we're not as sound.
Yeah.
Because he's got the set piece delivery on him, and you've got the dead ball specialist.
Why did he bring Ivan Toney and then not even have him on the bench on what is probably like the more important game?
I just don't know. I've told you my feelings about. I think Southgate's probably taken England as far as he can. I don't think he's a good manager at all. I think his tactics are quite poor. It's too defensive minded. He doesn't pick players on form.
Well, no. Maguire started both games. Luke Shaw started tonight.
Yeah, you got Sterling. Sterling's been okay, not the greatest. Jack Grealish. Once again,
he never starts Grealish, though, does he?
I know, but still, he's being picked with other players which probably deserve to be picked. Maybe. So he takes another spot. So yeah, I'm not a fan of Gareth.
What are we expecting from this Germany game then?
I think I would like a win, but with how England playing,
would you prefer a win? Oh, well, yeah, a goal. What was the last time they scored from open play? It was ridiculous. But Do you want a 1-0 win that we scrape through, or do you want a really good performance and it finishes 1-1? Or
I'll take a 1-0 win, even if it's like a scrape performance. I feel like England need to start winning again. They're in that bit of a was it the worst form in like 22 years or something like that.
oh, I don't know.
And
I
scored.
didn't.
I think they've scored only from a penalty, which is really
Right,
really poor.
I know you, Fryer. You have a differing opinion. Do you want to chime in?
Yeah, I just think Southgate do can't do anything for being wrong, really. Again, we touched on before, he picks players who aren't in form and things like that, and then we question why he sent Trent home. Trent's not in form, so is he not doing the thing that people say he should be
No,
doing?
but if he's in the team and you need a goal, like why would you not bring him on? Why would you bring on Luke Shaw?
I think it's a bit different for Trent though, because he's bringing him on. He's not starting him
Okay, well,
potentially
as I
anyway.
mentioned before, I don't see this competition as anything more than friendlies, to be honest. It's not a competition that anyone's, well, I wouldn't have thought taken seriously. No offense to any of the other teams that are in this
No, they
part
are
of the World Cup,
glorified friendlies.
Yeah,
They
they
are
are.
like
glorified
Italy and
friendlies.
stuff. Yeah, so my opinion is he's starting these other players because he's given them a bit of a run out. Really, I think he should have Tony on though, because again, you want him to sort of put his sort of stamp
Well,
on an
let
international
me give you this
stage. And
scenario. What happens if in 6 weeks Harry Kane gets injured and we've not played Tony, we've not played Tammy Abraham? Like, what do we do then?
I think that's mad that about Tammy.
it's again, it's not ideal, is it? But again, that's like saying, oh, what if Portugal don't play Ronaldo? Well, of course you're going to play Ronaldo, and of course you're going to play Kane every game. They're your best player, they're your best striker, aren't they? It's I just think he just gets so much stick for what he's done for us. Yeah, I agree. Sometimes he plays very defensive football, but when we do scrape those wins, like the 1-0s and the 2-0s, and especially in the Euros and the World Cup and stuff, and it's like, yeah, it's horrible to maybe watch. It's not like exciting, but as Phoebe said, I'd take those over losing or drawing, and he I don't know. I think this is going to be his last World Cup. Well, I mean, I don't
Yeah,
think he'd
I
be in another
think
World
he
Cup
will walk
anyway.
away
But
after it.
yeah, he'll regardless of what happens, I think he'll walk away. But I just don't see how when he walks away, people will think he's done a bad job. When again, we've got to a quarter
I
final
don't think. I
and
think
we got to a
when he
final.
does leave, he will be seen
I
in a good
think,
light. But
in my
Very wrong.
perspective, I'm not saying he's done a horrendous job. He's done a good job at England, but you expect the evolution of England from where it came from to go be a bit better, especially in terms of play style. And I feel like he's this is not. I know there's a lot of the English fans really don't like Southgate in some of his choices and some of his tactics. When there's also some which do like him, but I do think I would have thought he would have evolved a bit from okay, the World Cup we weren't expected to go far at all, and then we went to the semis. Heartbreak really because actually a first half in that game we were really good, and then we just bottled it. But then the Euros we had quite a bit more views. I'm thinking we can go far. We got to the final, then we bottled it really, but it wasn't that wasn't just Southgate. It was the players as well. In fairness, but I
Well,
expected
it's not
way
even
more.
they didn't bottle it, CB. They give them
No,
with
some
the
credit.
Euros.
They didn't
in
lose
Yeah,
the game.
the final though, there's points of the final where they there's little things they
well,
just succumb to
yeah,
the.
but to the Euros though, and Italy, you have to remember they came off the back of like a 17
Yeah,
game win streak,
it was longer
whilst
than
their
that. I think.
team
I think it was like 32, which makes it even more impressive. Sorry, it might be unbeaten
experienced
in 32. I can't remember.
I think it might be that.
experienced international players who, making tactical fouls on Saka, and you think, oh, you're cheating,
Oh, that
whatever.
was a hell of a
But
tactical foul. That was, wasn't it?
Yeah,
yeah, that's what I
they
mean.
know what they're doing in Italy. Like they're no pushovers, are they? They're no
No,
mugs.
they are good, very good team.
But you're not going to see people like Sancho, or you're not going to see people like Grealish, or people like that making those tactical fouls, are you?
No.
That's not. It's just. I I don't know. I personally think we've been overachieving with the team that we've got because at the end of the day, as Fel said, if Kane gets injured, we don't even really have a striker.
No,
not
we
to
don't
Kane.
at all.
Yeah, definitely not to Kane's level.
Yeah.
There's
So-
a big. I think there's a big drop off, isn't there, from Kane to? Or am I being a bit too drastic?
And is that not the game nowadays? Like people, not a lot of teams. I mean, maybe this year they've started changing, but not a lot of teams actually play without an out strikers, do they?
No, I've gone for false.
No, not really. But again, I don't know. I just think he just gets a lot of flack. I think he's done really well with the players that
He has done really
that we've
well.
had.
I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's just like I just don't have a good feeling about England when I watch them.
Yeah, I'm not excited to watch him because I just don't. They don't get me off my seat, which is.
Like, we're not talking about they don't need to win games like 4-0 or whatever,
No.
but it's just the way it's set up. It's just dour, isn't it?
Yeah, you want to see a bit of changing the play, interplay.
Like I've mentioned before, a lot of these players, like they come from City, Chelsea, Liverpool, they're used to keeping the ball and like
Playing nice
to use the
little.
term death by football. Don't let the opponent have the ball. They come to England and they're just expected to sit back. It's just I don't know. I think it's a waste personally.
Yeah, I think it's a potential waste in players because I feel for England. I don't know if any of you agree. I feel like attacking wise, we've got some very good players and we've got quite a lot of very good players. And defensively, I don't think we're as strong, particularly in centre defence. I don't think we're as strong as say we
No.
were quite a few
And
years ago.
even the defenders he picks. So you got Stones, you've got Chilwell, which I would say is first choice left back. You've got Walker, you got Reece James. Like even the defenders he picks, they're all attacking defenders. Like even John Stones, he likes to play the ball out from the back, but we play defensively.
With them.
I was just going to chime in a little bit. I kind of agree and disagree with Fryer in like some aspects. Like, I think I agree with what he's saying about Southgate in the sense of like it feels like no matter what he does or what he achieves with England, he can't really.
I think the England manager's job is like a poison chalice, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
not everyone's gonna like you.
But I do disagree with something he said when he said about how we're overachieving with the players we've got. I personally think England at the moment is probably like the best team they've had. Sure, they do have weaknesses, but throughout, I think it's the strongest team in my lifetime anyway.
Oh, easily.
And I
Do you think it's stronger than the 2006?
Yeah,
the golden generation.
We've
got so many talented youngsters in this team. It's unreal.
But my point was going to be like, if you look at Champions League and you look at like how much England are kind of dominating that competition.
Yeah, I was going to make that point.
And I think, and they have got quite a lot. I'm sure, I get you get the international players playing for like, the English teams, but I think there's so much English talent right now, and I think I'm not saying that England should be winning the World Cup or they should be, but they should be competing. And I think. I was just going to say, I think that with the players they've got, I don't think they are overachieving. I think they're finally achieving.
Well, the point. Sorry, I should have clarified then. What I meant by their overachieving is not like the team itself against other England teams. What I mean is the team itself versus other teams. Like you look at, can you think of any time we've had a better team than France? You think our team right now is better than France?
I don't think there's much in it. I don't think there's much in it though.
I was going to say I think it's potentially the closest we've come to having a team as good.
I was going to make the point. Before we did this podcast, I went through a lot of the so-called favourites in the World Cup. Like I went through their first 11s, and honestly, I think only France is better than ours.
Obviously that's subjective. A better team than us, personally.
Sorry.
I personally think Belgium are a better team than us.
I think if you take KDB out of that team, as shown in past tournaments, they've not done great.
I think they're an Asian team though. This golden generation.
They are a very Asian team
of Belgium.
I feel like they've missed their chance.
I think their chance was it 2018 World Cup? Was that probably their chance, or that was deemed that was their chance?
And the Euros as well, 2020 Euros.
Where did they come in the 2020 Euros? I can't remember where they came in that.
I'm not sure. I know in the World Cup, didn't they come third?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because was it we lost to them in the group stage and we lost them in the third place playoff?
And it's just
Sounds about right.
yeah, so that's what I mean by that. It's just I personally I don't think like I don't I can't remember the right way to word it. I just think we're a team of like individuals, and we've always been a team of individuals. Whereas you see like Poland or teams like Russia and Belgium and things and Italy, especially in the Euros, where okay, your players might not be in the Champions League final like every year with their clubs, but they're just a well-oiled team that just does the basics well, and we just struggle against that because if we've got an attacking team and we try and press and then we get caught and then concede, we're then constantly trying to catch up, and then we're against these teams that are so well organized you can't break them down. So it's almost like I've always have had the opinion that if we concede a goal and we've not already scored or at least scored two, then I don't know. I just don't see us. If we concede first, I don't see us ever winning a game.
No, I don't.
No.
And just to
It's
chime
as
in
if,
as well,
like-
Belgium went out in the quarters in the Euros against Italy 2-1.
It's as if the England team is just a bunch. It's just a bunch of Premier League all stars coming together, having jolly together. And like what Fry is saying, they're just not gelling. It's just a bunch of good
I
players
feel like
together.
that's slightly unfair to say
Gelling.
they're not a team. Like if you look at the last Euros, like everyone was praising the team spirit.
Oh yeah. It was good, but I get what in general, apart from the last few times where things
That
have just
stems
gelled
from
and worked.
that stems from Southgate picking players that he's used to, isn't it? Really.
But again, he then gets criticised for that. So this is what I mean. He can't do anything. He picks.
No,
the
I mean
players
that is
that gel
a
well and
reason maybe
have
why.
good rapport, and then he gets told he's picking the wrong ones, and then and then he's picking people who aren't in form, and then he's sending like again. I'm not trying to shit on Trent. Sorry for swearing. I've got nothing against him. I think he's one of our best players, but at the minute he's just not in form. So that's unless he's injured, and I don't know about it. That'll be the reason he's gone.
No, he's not injured. I think he's just let him. He just released him early because he's not going to play. I think he sent home Jared Bowen as well and someone else.
I don't think he's.
I was just going to say on that though, I'd rather an out of form Trent who's playing for Liverpool week in week out than an out of form Maguire who's not playing for United week in week out.
Because at least Trent's got that. He's got the output potentially.
He can do something special, can't he?
Like Maguire, you're not going to bring him on to like put a ball in to header it.
Yeah.
Do we think
a quality player like he doesn't have to be informed to whip it across, whipping a corner for someone to score. He can have a terrible game, but they win 1-0 and he assists on the corner.
Yeah, I agree. I just think Southgate's seen something that obviously we're not. Obviously, the game against Italy, I don't know. It frustrated me when I was watching it, as did everyone else. But at the end of the day, I'm just thinking it's basically a friendly. I think we're just overthinking it at the minute right now. Just let him do what what he wants to do, and we'll get to the World Cup and then just sort of go from there. I've got every faith in him that I think we'll do quite well. But
you think that when you say about it being only a friendly, like at this state, like sure, I do agree that this
you need to be showing something now.
Friendlies. But is this not the last England game before the World Cup?
It is, yeah. And before I was going to say, before any other World Cup, you would always organise friendlies. So say you were playing like an African team or whatever, you would organise a friendly against an African team. You know, kind of what you're up against because they play the same style. And if they didn't play well, they'd get slated then. So these are the games now where you nail down. You start in 11, tactics, stuff like that.
Or like you're making your final decision, like do I take Tony or do I take, that sort of thing.
So these friendlies now have told me that Harry Maguire, even if he doesn't play between now and December or end of November or whatever, he's still going to be playing.
Yeah.
Luke Shaw potentially might be starting. Tony probably might not even be picked at this rate.
Oh, who knows? Like, I don't know. I get it's a bloody hard job.
Yeah, I think,
and he has done a good job, but I just feel like
one thing I do give
like, would you say? Go on.
I'll say one thing I do give him credit for, which I think Johnson mentioned, was it last podcast, saying that England still only picking the big six teams. I think he's not just doing that. He's picking players from all over. I think personally.
Yeah, but he doesn't play them though, does he?
No, but what I'm saying is previous England teams, he pretty much
no, they've never picked it.
It's Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal. May get an odd one, and now City are involved. But now we're getting more players from all over, which is actually good to see, which I'll give them credit for.
But then, if you look at tonight's first 11, how many of them are not from the top six? Only Bellingham, I think, and Rice.
No, but I mean, in general, I'm talking about his reign since
Right.
being there.
Well, if all else, if nothing else, he is the first manager probably since I've been watching England that has made a lot of England fans fall in love with the England team again. So he has done that.
Me and Matt were there on Liverpool to watch us lose that semi-final.
To lose what?
The World Cup semi-final. That was a long drive home.
When was that?
Right,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was all because at half-time Luke said, we're going to have these, no problem. And I told him, honestly, I nearly went mental on him. I was like, well, that's it, we've lost now. And then we did. And he's still to this day.
Confused me then.
Responsibility.
No.
Confused me then. I thought you meant they played in Liverpool, and I was like, what?
Oh, no. We went to the fan zone in the docks and watched it there. And for 45 minutes, was it? It was all rosy.
Well, yeah, wasn't it Trippier who scored that free kick?
Yeah, and it looked like we probably could have scored 2 or 3.
Yeah, and then Kane should have squared it to Sterling.
And I think Kane missed a great chance as well, which made it 2-0.
It's like little things like that. So if Kane just made that pass or just put that shot on target, you potentially be making a World Cup final. We could be in
every game you can go back of ifs and buts and.
No, I get that, but what I'm saying is that we then get why Southgate picking these people or they're not playing for him and all the rest of it. I'm like, well, there's only so much Southgate can do.
Yeah. And also, but he has had favourable draws.
Yeah, true, but again,
you can only beat what is in front of you.
Who would you have instead of him?
Well, exactly. If they'd have, for example, Switzerland beat France in the last tournament.
I'm not. By the way, I'm not saying this is who we should have, but I'm just saying what I've seen all over Twitter and seen over in newspaper articles. Gio's probably seen this. No, Tuchel.
It's happening.
A lot of people are saying England should get Tuchel.
Oh, that's what I was about to say. Who would you rather have if Southgate wasn't there?
I'm not saying we should get Tuchel and Tuchel's the choice, but I'm just saying a lot of England fans are now crying out for Tuchel now because obviously he's not got.
Who would you have though?
Who would I have?
Yeah, you seem to be the most vocal in.
I would have had Potter.
Yeah.
I think that would be my overwhelming choice, but I do agree with sort of what Matt says now. Now Potter's at Chelsea, it'd be very hard for him to get him to be like, leave Chelsea now.
I feel like Potter would have been, if Potter would have stayed at Brighton for a few more years, he probably would have been the perfect choice, but I think it's a bit early for that. I think it's a bit early he's gone to Chelsea.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely with CB, if we were in 6 months and we were making a change for the World Cup, then I would have gone with Potter, but not now. I think, obviously, it's not even going to, there's no point considering it, it wouldn't happen anyway, but I think he's got a good opportunity with Chelsea now to sort of see if he is worth, a big, high-stakes job rather than... in terms of Tuchel, I think he would actually be quite a good manager, but I don't know.
I'm not sure how I'd feel about having him.
He doesn't strike me as a national team manager. No. He's a club manager. Yeah. Maybe it's just because I've not seen it before, but he just strikes me as someone who would be at a club rather than a national team. I don't know who I would have over Southgate personally.
I feel like so much is set in stone. I think a lot of it doesn't even have to do with the manager, honestly. He may not even be picking the most of that team. He may be forced into picking certain players. You don't even know. It's so structured, isn't it? International management, there's so many people involved in the FA and stuff like that. You just don't know.
I think we should have given it to Giggs till the end of the season.
That's a good shout.
Big sir.
He could do the team meetings from Cell Block H.
Tom, who would you like England to have as a manager?
From an outside.
Michael Sheen.
Okay, Michael Sheen's a good shout. Let me check.
I've Goldbilge.
See, I'm trying to think now who it would be. There's a
I'm
manager.
I'll tell you who could be a good shout. Brendan Rodgers.
Oh, with there.
No,
Tom,
yeah.
who are you going to pick? I want to hear this.
You know what? I tried quickly googling some sort of tier
List.
7 manager from the English league, and
What
I
about the
couldn't
guy-
get it up quick enough.
what about the guy from Wrexham?
You know what? I'll do it.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'd do that. I'd back
Bring
you.
in Mullins.
I'll back.
Yeah,
Yeah, bring in Mullins.
I'll do it. I'll bring a load of tier 7 players. It'll be a load of fun, you know. But seriously, don't really know, because every time I see an England manager go in, it starts off great and then it just peters out. And
That's the same with all management jobs.
So and England is always highlighted as well. It just seems to be the same pattern every time. So I don't know. It could be anybody, and it'll just start off well, and then it'll just sort of balance out and peter out, plateau, and they'll be like, "What are they doing? Why aren't they attacking? Why blah blah blah?" I don't know really, because
I think I agree, yeah, Tom.
it's
Just that's the routine. It's the routine, isn't it, that we had before Southgate? Was just someone came in, it was good for a couple of months, and then we turned on the I don't know if we did, but
we've had some shocking
media and
managers.
everyone else, and then turns on them, and then it's just like a roulette, then, isn't it? Of just revolving door of managers.
I get your frustrations as well with Southgate. I just feel like they're holding back. They should be attacking more, should be pulling the trigger more, and all sorts like that. But I do get the frustrations as well. I don't know what happens behind the scenes, or what happens to the managers where they become so cautious. You know, I just don't know what happens. But it feels like any manager you get in, it'll just happen unless this manager is imagine if Brian Clough back in the day became manager. He just wouldn't care, and he would just do whatever he liked. If there was somebody really strong-headed like that, I don't know. You can put. I just don't know. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't have an answer.
What about
I think this team-
Mike Bassett?
I already said
Well,
that.
just to go back to what Bell said, I think Brendan Rodgers is. I would think I would punch myself in the head if we got Brendan Rodgers.
But the team would
Good
have character.
punch or bad punch?
No, just
Team
again,
would have character.
it just
Punching a fan.
doesn't make sense. Why would you get Brendan Rodgers in literally failing at Leicester?
No, but just because he's failed at one club doesn't mean he's going to fail elsewhere. Like, he wasn't failing 2 or 3 seasons ago, was he? When he came 5th both times. Like,
How about who was in charge of the women's team that won? Why to get that?
Sabrina, someone.
Yeah, the
Her in.
Dutch.
She knows.
You're
how to
watching
win.
the England game, aren't you, Tom?
Yeah. There's some women
I
on
thought
there
so.
now. Yeah, it's
Get
like,
Phil
why
Neville.
not the women game? Yeah, why not get the women's one in?
Tell you what,
Good.
Phil Neville will do it.
She's got a good record.
Serena.
Phil
Serena
Neville won't
Wiegman.
move from Inter Miami now. He's too happy playing
Too late.
his son.
Is he playing his
Right.
son at Inter Miami?
Yeah, his son.
Wow.
I think it's Harvey Neville was in United players, and then he signed
Not
him,
Neville.
and then he played. And I think Inter Miami played. I can't remember what big team in the summer on the friendly, and he brought his son on, and he brought was it Romeo? Was it
His
Romeo
niece.
Beckin? No, he brought Romeo on, and I was like,
Yeah.
everybody was a big kick-off saying like, what? Well, we know why they're coming on, but they shouldn't be coming on.
Have you seen that YouTube channel where they say, "Oh, I love your car. What do you do for a living?"
Yeah, I've seen that.
Romeo was on that the other day in a McLaren.
What?
What I'd like you all know.
How old is he?
It's like 20 now,
You
isn't he, or
You
something?
watch too much TikTok.
It was a short actually on YouTube.
Oh, no,
I don't have it.
TikTok, so
I don't have TikTok either.
I bet Phil
I
has a
refuse.
TikTok. He does those little dance TikToks.
No. I refuse to get TikTok because every
Any
time
male.
someone sends me a video, like a link, it's usually Ash George from the work group chat.
Yeah.
You watch the video, and then all the suggested videos look like really young girls in like barely anything. I'm like, I'm not clicking on anything.
So I like
Yeah,
how Fel doesn't want TikTok because there's pictures of young girls, whereas I won't get TikTok because in their terms and conditions it allows them access to all of your other apps and photos and pictures and devices in your houses that don't even have TikTok on
But
it.
all social media does that. That's why, like, if you have an Alexa and you start talking about fridges, next thing there's adverts on your phone on your web browser about fridges.
Yeah, but that's what Alexa's for. It's not for
What, the
scrolling
spy,
through videos.
spy on you?
That's something
Yeah,
to
it's
that one, I
literally it's for
think.
recording stuff, isn't it? Yeah, TikTok's not
I
an
don't
Alexa.
think that's on the sales pitch. But should we move
Well,
on
yeah,
to
anyway,
Wales?
yeah, go on.
Move on to Wales. Lost overnight, got relegated from their Nations League group, lost 1-0 against Poland. Obviously missing a few players through injury: Aaron Ramsey, Joe Allen, Harry Wilson, Ben Davis, Ethan Ampadu and Chris Metham were suspended. Don't suppose you're too disheartened, Tom, seeing as you've got a World Cup to go to in a few weeks?
Oh, and considering that it was a weakened team, second string being good enough to only lose 1-0 to Poland, it's fine with me. You know, we've come a long. Wales have come a long way since the bad old days back in the noughts and the 90s. We used to watch them and just watch 2 minutes of the game and switch off because it was boring, or they're going to lose 10-0 to Andorra. And it is World Cup, yeah. We're looking for. It's a shame it has to be the Qatari World Cup, where it's full of controversy. Trust Wales to qualify for that one, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And also, Pot B, it's not the worst place to be. You know, you're going to be the theory the second best team in the qualifying group. In theory, and in theory, it might make the qualifiers in the qualifying group. You know, so I mean, obviously, Wales will draw Belgium, Azerbaijan,
Yeah.
at least, you know, and probably Republic of Ireland. But
You can't draw
yeah,
England.
can't draw England, which is a bonus, you know. It's because there's a weird thing where Wales just don't beat England. It just doesn't happen. I've never seen it in my lifetime, football wise, but fair enough. Yeah, I didn't see the game because I was doing an airport run, unfortunately. But I looked at the stats and what you know, they lost 1-0, but the stats showed it was an
It was a
equal
close
game.
game. It was a close game.
It was a close game, yeah. So I'm not disheartened. Nations League at the moment, it does mean something, but also it doesn't. You know, it does improve your chances of qualifying. It did help us Wales get to the World Cup as well. But Wales are at the World Cup. I can't wait to see it. Even if they go out in the group stages, it's fine. Just put on a great performance, and it's nice to have. As far as the top teams, I'm not sure they care so much about the Nations League because they will tend to qualify like Germany, Belgium, England, all that. But like Wales, the Nations League is nice for them. There is stakes, and it's nice to have these friendlies where there is a bit of stakes and something to play for. So yeah, maybe Wales can get back to Pot A. It'll be nice to follow Wales trying to get back up to Pot A, you know, League A. And yeah, I'm happy. It's all good. Great. Love it.
Do you
Right.
have many friends who you know are going to the World Cup?
Christ, no. Nobody I know's going. And
I
I've
was
heard
just-
so
Oh, go on.
I've heard so much about Qatar as well, where yeah, there's so many laws that you could get just done for. Like
Yeah,
if you take your
a lot
shirt off, I mean, it's this their laws fair
It's
enough.
in
But you take your
public.
shirt off, you could get arrested. You know, you could drink in public, you get arrested. It feels like there might be, unless everybody follows the rules, there could be a lot of trouble there. That apparently the police have been instructed to hold back and not be so tough on people, foreigners who are maybe bending the rules, but also they might get complaints from locals who don't like what the foreigners are doing, and the police are obliged to follow that and then put them in prison. So it's feels like it's going to be quite a dangerous World Cup for the fans and any fans.
We know the World Cup is there solely because they bought it. And I don't think
Oh,
anyone
hell
needs
yeah.
to be,
Yeah.
you know, under any impression it's for any other reason than that. It's I think what they've done is they've set up zones, haven't they? Where in certain zones you can drink
Yeah, I
and
think they
take
have.
your shirt off and do all that other stuff. But another issue of contention for people was in order to have the World Cup there, even in like winter, they had to have stadiums with air conditioning, and apparently this just like breached all of their like going green, like emissions targets and things like that as well. So the entire location of this World Cup just makes no sense to me whatsoever.
No,
And also
the only reason I asked, sorry, about or just to say Germany have just scored, by the way. Harry Maguire gave the ball away and then gave away a penalty. Yeah. So I was just thinking, with it being Wales's first World Cup in ages, I was thinking that a lot of Welsh people will want to go, and it's kind of tight that it's going to cost so much, but they're going to pay it because they've never been to one.
If you can afford it, go to it. But also, if I could afford it, I'd be reluctant because of the rules there, and because
you might end up in
you'd be-
jail for doing nothing.
And Wales have qualified for 3 tournaments recently, and only one of them has been a traditional, legit tournament.
No, Russia.
Just the one in front. What's that?
No.
The ones that Wales have qualified. It's like
I thought you were at that one. Oh no, that was Euros. Sorry,
no. Yeah, it's Euros. Yeah, so it's the Euros in France, where it's just in one country in the summer. Lovely. The Euros 2020, even if there was no COVID, it's still that weird thing where it's all around Europe.
All over Europe, wasn't it?
It just didn't make sense. So great Wales to qualify, but it's unfortunate it's been to these 2 recent weird tournaments. But and I don't know anybody who's going to go to Qatar, and God bless them if they are going to Qatar.
One guy, he's bought tickets for every game, including the final, and lo and behold, he's the only millionaire I know. So
I was going to say, is he a hedge fund manager? Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's for England actually. Thinking about it. Sorry, yeah, it's not even,
it still works.
Not even a Welsh.
Has he cashed in on the recent hedge fund on the pound dropping or something? You know.
Oh no, he's a big shot, owning like companies and stuff and doing insurance and stuff. I was going to ask a question about the like, what do you? And I know obviously it's just because I contrary to popular belief, I actually quite like Wales being in the World Cup.
It adds an ego, doesn't it?
Things another, yeah, but also just because I live in Wales, it's it's good for the Welsh economy, and building sports sort of facilities and inspiring people in Wales and things like that, and all the rest of it. But realistically, I know it's like it's good to just see him there, but where do you think he'll actually get to?
Realistically, I'd like to see second in the group, because Iran I think Iran, USA are maybe, if they're better, worse, the same. They are very close, I'd say. So Wales against Iran, USA, beatable. They could lose them 2, could draw them. Wales could end up with 3 points drawing with everybody. That'd be great to draw with England, because every time I watch Wales play, they've lost against England.
Scotland is celebrating the streets.
Yeah, but my ideal scenario would be Wales to be through second or first and have the England game as doesn't matter, and just enjoy that. Even if England won 10-0, it doesn't matter.
The final game, yeah.
Yeah, it's the final game, so it didn't matter. It doesn't matter. I don't want that game to matter at all. Too. Yeah, so just have a nice game. All of us get together, have a nice time. Both England, Wales are through. Brilliant. And we just have a nice time watching them just both on 6 points.
Yeah.
Just have a nice time, both playing weak teams, and just, 0-0 score draw, boring. It'd be great. Get drunk watching it.
Just to go back to the price thing, apparently FIFA have rented like a lot of the hotels and hiked the prices up. Obviously, Qatar have built like shacks in the desert, like very, very basic shacks for people to rent. And you can only buy Budweiser, and it's like £12 to £15 a pint. Like, it's just going to be unreal.
Yeah, I'd imagine that because Qatar does not sell beer itself, FIFA have the full monopoly on all the alcohol. So they'll have the full monopoly, can charge whatever they want, and people will buy it. There's just nothing. You can't smuggle beer in there. You might as well smuggle cocaine. You probably get more arrested for beer.
Well, yeah, exactly. Wasn't there that woman who like flew over Iran and she had like paracetamol in her bag and she got jailed for like 8 years?
She really?
Yeah, like, I think she's only just recently been let out. They thought she was like a spy or something. You're just like, I do not want to go to countries around there.
Yeah, you're talking about a completely different country.
Yeah, but it's the Middle East, isn't it?
Right, okay, let's not generalise the Middle East, though.
No, but they have different rules to everyone else. They're a lot stricter.
Do we think
Yeah.
we'll the bootlegger over in Qatar?
Oh, he'll be thrown in prison for life, won't he? He'll just be drunk over there.
Who's that?
The bootlegger guy, I can't remember his name, but he's from Wrexham, and he's just the guy who was on. I think he was on social media, just
he's on
making
Twitter,
videos
like-
at Wrexham, and eventually,
Not Mullins.
He's Twitter famous, isn't he?
Isn't he? He's the guy which had that. He interviewed some guy who was like pissed off his face, and he goes, I'll smash up my fence." Or something.
Yeah.
Well, he's eating
Don't
a
win.
bacon sandwich.
Oh,
He's eating a bacon sandwich as well or something. Like, isn't it?
if we don't win, I'll go home and I don't have a microwave anymore because I smashed it up. It's like-
Oh,
Ended up on that American Barstool website, didn't it?
oh, the bar still, yeah.
the craziest thing about this Qatar World Cup is that Qatar's so small. Most of the stadiums are in or around the capital Doha, and I mean it's ideal for logistics. You can just probably walk to each stadium.
Yeah.
But there must be no room to fit all these people in. I think people are sort
We'll
of
find out. Won't we?
spilling into Saudi Arabia, to stay there, whether in the neighbouring country.
I've
It's
heard
going to
that-
be very, very interesting.
I've heard they're using cruise ships too as accommodation for fans.
What?
Well, that makes sense. Yeah, there we go.
Tanks
Yeah.
as well.
So I wonder how
Tanks.
much they will probably cost. But I
Get
just
an Uber and a F10 jet.
yeah, apartments and villas, cruise ship hotels, and fan villages. I think that's what Tom was on about. Where it's like they look like a bit like prefabs or tents with like basic amenities.
Yeah, they are. They are. That's what I
And-
was saying.
And like for a cabin, it's $207. What's that? Now in pounds.
£210.
Picturing if episode 1 of episode 4 of Star Wars just in on
Yeah.
Yeah,
so that the desert, it's just that's how it's going to be, isn't it?
Tatooine.
A Tatooine, yeah.
Did I get that right, Freya?
yeah, I said that. Yeah, Tatooine. Yeah,
Oh, right, okay.
as long as you don't quote Mos Eisley being a hive of villainous scum, then yeah, we should be all
I'm
right.
villainy.
Scum and villainy.
Can I just bring up, Tom, before we move on from Wales? Obviously,
Yep.
we all had a discussion in our group chat last night about Wales being a minnow. And I don't
Hey.
think you can class them as a minnow anymore.
Which is a small fish for anyone that doesn't know, because I didn't know.
Fun
Yeah.
fact:
Small fish.
It's a small fit. Yeah, well,
this podcast is also educational.
Maybe do you think that's where it got the name from? Because a minnow could be classed as a small
it's
team.
a small fish in a big pond, maybe. Yeah.
But yeah, so
I think.
go on.
I think personally, I don't know. Can't speak for anybody else, but we're right saying Wales aren't the minnows that they were once considered, because Wales have been like consistently top 20 in the world since 2015-16.
Yeah.
nearly 10 years now, which is nuts. You can't consider them minnows, but I think personally I like to consider Wales as minnows still, because the expectations
It helps
stay
you,
low.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, psychology, it helps us stay low.
The argument was that because Wales is so small in terms of population, there's less to choose
Yeah.
from, blah, 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 so they'll always be a minnow. But, like, for example,
That's us trying to support the argument,
but for example, Croatia have got a population of 4.5 million.
yeah.
Would you consider them a minnow?
They've got, yeah.
Oh, of course, yeah. They just punched above their weight. Bloody hell, no.
And then you've
Yeah.
got Uruguay, who've got 3.5 million.
They've won
Like-
the World Cup twice, haven't they? Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it all comes down to like structure. I
No,
feel.
You have got a point, but I think it is like I'm looking for the outside, and I think, yeah, want to keep my expectations low. But then again, I said before, we're equal footing with Iran and USA. What's the population of USA again? It's like 2 million or something, is it? Or
Yeah. Well,
I don't know,
if it was down to population, then India,
It was like
Russia,
2
USA,
billion.
China
Yeah,
would
so-
rule football, wouldn't they?
yeah. So
You were
Never
joking,
mind.
weren't you? You
The
know
the
the
argument's
population of America
there,
is
but
2
joking.
million.
He is.
Okay.
argument's there. But I think the Welsh like to consider Wales as a small minnow because underdogs punching above their weight. If we lose, no big deal. Fine, good. We can just go home and celebrate.
I was
think
going to
that's
say you've definitely been upgraded to an underdog. You're not a minnow anymore. You're,
Hundred
you're
percent
an
an
underdog.
underdog.
Yeah, upgraded to underdog. Yeah, okay, yeah. But the thing
You're
is,
not a
like,
big boy, but you're definitely an underdog.
but I was
Well-
considering it's like if you look at literally there are tiers now, like in the Nations League. But I was thinking the top tiers are Brazil, Belgium, England, Italy, all them lot, and below that you got Poland, Austria, Switzerland, maybe Uruguay.
You are with them, I feel.
Yes,
Poland,
yeah.
Switzerland.
I literally have it
It's that
up
one
now
step
because
below.
I didn't
Right.
believe Tom when he said he'd been in the top 20. I didn't think Wales were that high, to be honest.
Yeah, they are.
No offense. But what are the two
They have,
countries
yeah.
what were the two countries you mentioned, Phil? Uruguay and who?
Uruguay and Croatia.
So Uruguay are 13th and Croatia are 15th. So they're both ranked above Wales as well.
I didn't think
But yeah,
Croatia would be so
9th.
low. We got to World Cup final like 3 years ago.
Wales 19th.
The 19th now. That's.
Yeah.
I mean, that's very low considering what it has been recently. They were
Even Portugal have only got a population of 10 million, and I'd
quite
say
high.
they're a big hitter. It's not that high, is it? It's only 7 million more. Like France have got like 90 million.
Only 7 million more people to pick.
No, but when you consider they competing with France, England, Brazil, like what's the population of
A
Brazil?
small loan of 7 million
Oh,
people.
Brazil's huge because of Brazil. Portuguese is one of the biggest
202
languages
million.
in the world.
202 million in Brazil, and
They're
you
ranked
wouldn't
number one.
say, yeah, I know that, but Portugal, like, I can't think of a tournament where they've always been a lot of people's dark horses to win, like nearly every tournament, and they did win the Euros.
I was thinking before. Do you think it comes down to a bit of like you know how Wales now they've got the talisman of Bale and it's given them a bit of belief. Like rewind like 50, 60, 70 years ago to like when Brazil were kings of the world. If there wasn't a Pele, would Brazil have
It does
been?
come down to that. It all comes down to kids being inspired. That's why I feel like Wales will be in a stronger position after this. Like if you go back to our generation, they were all being inspired by like Welsh rugby players because that's where all the money was, where all the sponsors went.
When I was younger, even in Welsh school, I went to Welsh medium school. People are inspired by English players and even more England tops. And since 2016, oh yeah, but it was the norm then. And since 2016, I've seen just random kids, young kids walking along the street in Wales tops, and
they'll be inspired to play football instead of rugby.
It's really, I mean, especially in North Wales, where really rugby, except for we'll have a good rugby club, but it's not really a thing. South Wales, the valleys, the mining. It's the Welsh
Denby's
football. Pardon?
Denby's got a rugby club.
Denby has, yeah. I mean, rugby does exist. It's just not as strong up here as in the south. But like, you just see more football shirts. As well, North Wales is more football, and it would have been more England inspired by Lineker and Shearer and people like that. But now it's Welsh shirts everywhere, and it's nice to see. It is being inspired, like you say.
I do agree with what Tom says. A few years ago, say before this new generation of Welsh players, or when they actually make it to international tournaments, I don't remember seeing a single Welsh football top. It was always Welsh rugby tops, and I feel now it's gone to Welsh football tops. You see them all the time. Yeah. You see
why are Wales in football classed as a minnow, but they're not in the rugby?
Well, rugby's a minority sport. I'm going to say that.
Mindset, isn't it? Look at think
it purely comes down to money. Like the one country I've always looked at is Australia. They don't have the biggest population, but when you look at the Olympics, they're always up there at the very top. Like
they take sports
Olympics
seriously, don't they?
Yeah, because they put a lot of money into it.
Cricket, they're one of the best. Rugby, they're one of the best. Football, okay, they're not that good, but
But you could also you look at the likes of like the like Samoan Islands and stuff. Aren't they like really good at
really good at
rugby?
rugby, yeah, because they've
And,
got
like,
that
you
one
can't tell
sports
me
club.
they've got a lot of money to throw into.
No, but that's different because that's probably
Yeah.
like the one sport everyone
think-
plays there.
I think
But that's my point, though, isn't it? It's like having the sort of, I don't know, the belief in themselves of being like, no, we're good at this. They've got the players to look up to. They don't need the money. They don't need anything like funding for it. They just play because it's what they're good at. And I mean,
Also,
like,
there is.
sorry,
there is a point.
Germany have just scored a hell of a goal.
Sorry, there is a point that Fel said as well about infrastructure, and there's this one podcast I listen to called Socially Distant Sports Bar. There's one guy who's well into the Welsh rugby, one guy well into the Welsh football. The rugby fella knows his stuff, and he's saying that rugby has been mismanaged for a long time now. Wales, there's this guy called Noel Mooney that's taken over for football, and he's asked the fans, "What do you want? What do you want?" So it's because of him Wales play in the Cardiff Stadium now, which is smaller but the better atmosphere. It's because of them that all of a sudden Wales have the song "Zombie Nation" at the start of matches, which is so random, but it's because they started randomly singing it in Belgium once. It's so. Wales football is so fan orientated, getting everybody involved and all the fans. It's like a club. It really is like a niche club. Whereas rugby is kind of fallen apart and it's run by old men who.
They won the Euros in the Six Nations in 2018. That's
Oh,
not
yeah,
bad
yeah,
for
yeah.
being mismanaged.
Yeah, being on the pitch, they're good, but it's like, I don't know, but what this guy is saying that compared to football, rugby is losing touch with the fans, losing touch with it all, and what they do is, if any Welsh player goes to play in England or France, they're not allowed to play for the Welsh team. They have to stay in Wales and play. That's the thing, really. It's just the Welsh. Yeah, they have the old-fashioned heads still at the top of Welsh rugby, whereas football is more very progressive and it's integrating the fans and it's bucket hats, it's songs, it's Amar Heard, it's David Iwan, there's all that stuff is going on, and it's just a great feeling, winning or losing. It's just a great feeling in football as opposed to rugby right now.
See, rugby's weird like that because that was the same for England a few years ago. If you played outside of England, you were not playing for England. And at one point, I know we're talking about football, but for England, they had 3 years in the run. 3 players won like the rugby Ballon d'Or, basically. All English, all didn't play for England because they played in France. It's weird.
It's a weird thing, rugby, and it doesn't have to be that way. I think that's the point of the guy, Mac Bubbins, who we listen to. Rugby could progress as well, but there seems to be old people with very old mindsets at the top of the RFU in Wales at the moment. I mean, fair dues. I'm a football guy, so rugby can
He is
where it
now.
wants,
What Gio said before actually was quite right with regards with Samoa. Actually, probably a lot of people say these Polynesian islands are probably the most talented of rugby players, but they don't go far because they don't have the infrastructure. So they could be the most talented players, but they don't have the infrastructure to actually go out.
What happens with them? What actually happens with them? They go to play for New Zealand because in rugby you can.
A lot of them see New Zealand as the place because obviously New Zealand is
or England.
Yeah, a lot of them. England,
even
Australia.
Wales.
Yeah, Wales have got some.
Yeah,
they all seem to be built like. I don't want to sound racist or whatever, but people from those islands, they all seem to be built the same way, like, and it's suited completely for rugby, isn't it?
Have you ever seen the Tuolangi brothers?
Yeah,
you can't start a sentence with "I don't mean to sound racist" and then it not be racist.
No, I said I'm not trying to be racist.
I'm not trying to be, but let me just drop this.
It's not racist. We're all good.
Are you trying to say that they've got good genetics? Is that what you're trying to say?
It's not that. It's that they're good. I mean, good genetics is one thing, but the Polynesian Islands' good genetics makes them. They're built huge, but they're fast as well, and they become American footballers. And the ones that fail at American football become wrestlers as well. They're just good at wrestling, and they become big guys in the.
I remember in the last Olympics, the rugby sixes, and I think it was Tonga in the men and women's just absolutely destroyed everyone, and like. The population is so small there, but they just absolutely destroyed everyone.
They are very good. Good to watch.
That's this like going very off topic, but I don't know if anyone watched that rugby sixes. Like, do they still play on a full size pitch but with six players?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sevens, I think, isn't it?
It's sevens, rugby sevens.
Is it sevens?
They have it they have little tournaments throughout. Like they have it in South Africa, England. Where else they have it? Australia, New Zealand. Hong Kong, they have it a few times too.
It was quite exciting to watch that.
Pretty much take away the forwards, the guys in the scrum, take away them, just have the backs, the guys that run all the time, and that is the sevens, and it's just pure running. That's what it is, and there's a big pitch as well on the big pitch.
Oh, yeah, imagine that on a Wednesday.
Well, I will say one thing. I've always thought. You know, I'm more of a rugby league fan myself, but one thing I've always thought about, like, with like Wales and rugby and football comparison, is if you look at like club football in Wales, even at like the non-league levels, you're looking at like the same number of people attending. You are at like the highest level of like club rugby, and I don't know. It's actually kind of nice to see, like as you were saying before, Tom. It's sort of like moving. I think it's personally, it is moving more towards football now as Wales start to do better in these competitions. So I hope you do finish second because I want us to finish first. But as long as
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. First or second, I'm fine. Just qualifying through.
That.
You will finish second.
I love that little backhanded thing. I hope you finish second, but lose to us.
Yeah, lose to us 10-0.
You.
Who is everyone's favourite for the World Cup? Like, I'm sure we'll do like a World Cup special, but
I've got a feeling Brazil.
I don't know if anyone has been watching any of the other nations' games, but like Spain lost last night, lost 2-1 against Switzerland at home. France lost, Germany lost as well the other night. Obviously winning tonight, but yeah, it seems like England are getting a lot of flack, but then these other teams aren't. I watched a bit of the Spain game, and it's same old problem for Spain. They're not playing with a striker. They had 75% of the ball, and they lost 2-1 against Switzerland.
Spain, though, they've got a hell of a team.
Yeah, that midfield of Busquets, Pedri, and Gabi, like, just can't get the ball off them.
But like you said, they've got no striker.
They might end up playing Morata up front again.
All right then. Well, just like the Champions League, then. Phil, who do you think's going to win the World Cup?
I think Brazil.
Falvey, who do you think's going to
win? Brazil, Richarlison, Golden Boot.
Oh
my God, man, after my own heart. Who do you think's going to win?
I think Brazil.
Damn. Right, Tom. Not who do you want to win? Who do you think's going to
win? you predicted, didn't you?
I did. I knew exactly what you were going to say.
I've not seen much of. I don't know much about Brazil to say. Oh, Brazil. So, because I've not seen them play, I'm going to say France. No. Yeah, you know what? I'm going Argentina.
Okay.
Ooh, not bad shout.
I'm going to go France personally. They should always turn up in these competitions.
I feel like France have got such an amazing team, but a lot of them are very, very young. I feel like if you give it 4-6 years, they are going to dominate. But they're just a bit too young at the moment.
Good goal.
They're just not there, are they?
It's what, sorry?
France, I know what you mean by France. They've got quite a few good players, but still, like you said, they're quite young.
Yeah, they're like, for example, Tchouaméni, Camavinga is still quite young. Like, you give it 4 years or so and they're in their prime, and I feel like France are going to dominate.
France, I've been so envious of France and some of their players.
Yeah, it's just constantly churn out really good players.
I think I say Argentina because this is probably going to be Messi's last World Cup, and I think he's going to get his bum into gear and maybe just take the World Cup by the scruff of the neck. So I think this is the one chance he's got. So I'm going to go with that and say it's going to be Messi's World Cup.
What about you, Matt?
I hope he gets one, but it's always the rest of his team in it. That's the problem with Argentina. Like,
yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Maradona did it.
They're always hit and miss, Argentina.
Their tactics always give the ball to Messi, and then it just never works out. If they played as a team with Messi as their like trump card, they would probably win a lot more than they do.
And especially because I know he's probably used to it, but he's going to be playing more games in like a 45-degree heat as well.
Is it going to be hot though? Because aren't all the stadiums air conditioned?
Yeah, that's what I was saying before. They're all like that's why they're breaching their emissions targets and all the rest of it just to have it there.
So it is like a lot of people have
but you're
said,
gonna be
like for example,
training-
yeah, true. But then knowing this place, they might have so much money thrown at it that you've got air conditioned training grounds and stuff like that.
I'm sure Messi probably owns a few properties there anyway, so I don't think it's
Yeah,
going
it's
to be
probably
far for him
used to
to
it.
just
Yeah, probably
walk
used
to
to
the
it.
stadium. Actually, yeah.
Also, if we're talking desert conditions and if the air conditions fail, it sounds like Iran might win it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
or
possibly.
the host nation.
Oh yeah, that was
Of course, yeah.
They always seem to do quite well, don't they? The host. Who was the last host that was like really bad?
Was it
I don't remember.
Was it South Africa?
No, I think
Yeah,
they
so-
did well. I think they got out the group stage.
Did they go out the group stage?
I think so. Yeah.
Wasn't it Suarez who had that like dodgy handball?
No, that was
red card, or was that?
That was Ghana.
That was
Yeah,
Ghana.
that was
Ghana?
gone.
Um,
I'm
well,
gonna look
Russia
it up.
did well, didn't they, in their last one?
Yeah.
South Korea did quite well as well in.
Oh,
Yeah, they did well.
I'm gonna. Can I ask that as a question? Can I just ask anybody here what was their favourite World Cup? So like the best memory.
2002 or 98.
2002.
Yeah, they were the two I enjoyed the most.
Which ones? 99 and 2002.
98 in
2002.
France and then 2002.
What about you, Matt?
Mine was the South Africa World Cup. What was that? 14? No,
2010. I thought it was earlier than that.
Mine,
Just looking it up now.
yeah, mine's
Yeah,
probably 2002 or 2006.
Oh no, South Africa went out in the group. Never mind.
Yeah, but I think
I
didn't they
thought
win
they
their
did.
first game though? Didn't they beat Mexico?
Yeah, I remember
They
that
did
goal
win.
by.
They won a game. They drew. They went out on goal difference. They did.
See, so they actually
it-
didn't do that bad, really, when you think about it.
No, France went out with 1 point in their group.
Senegal
Came
beating
bottom.
your name.
Say
The
again?
opening game in 2010 with South Africa. There was a guy called Shabalala.
Oh,
He scored that goal.
The famous commentary
Yeah,
for a goal for South Africa, goal for all Africa.
something like that. Yeah.
The
I know,
Vuvuzela.
but
The first
Yeah.
game they drew
best theme
1-1.
song and the Vuvuzelas, yeah.
Oh, I remember.
They beat France 2-1. South Africa.
I remember when somebody brought Vuvuzela down to Staten Town Football Club,
Wow.
and you watch the
Wow.
game. Watch the game. All you hear is like, "Ooh."
Just looking at England's results. Can you remember England's results in that World Cup?
Oh, we were shocking.
England 1, USA 1, England
Green,
0,
wasn't it?
Algeria
Rob
0.
Green
Green
Howler.
doing a Taibbi impression.
Who knocked us out? Germany 4-1.
Oh, I remember that when Lampard scored a
Pretoria.
perfectly good goal to make, which would have made it. Was it 2-2? And then we lost
Yeah.
4-1.
That whenever I see that name Pretoria, it just reminds me of pterodactyl. But yeah.
That was the World Cup where Rooney went to the camera and goes, "It's nice to see your own fans booing you."
Yeah. Those
Yeah.
Seagull fans booing you. Yeah.
That was Fabio Capello.
Good times. Not good times with Fabio Capello.
That's like good times with Fabio Capello.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that was very good.
Shocking. Should we end it there? Has anyone got anything else to add?
No.
Nope. Leave it
No.
there then. Thanks for listening. Bye.
The
Bye.
Yeah, have a good time.
If you enjoyed this podcast, feel free to subscribe or follow us on YouTube, Anchor, Spotify, and Twitch at HalfTime TeamTalk. We also live stream these episodes on Twitch every Monday and Thursday, 8 PM UK time. You can also find us on Twitter at HalfTimeTA2, so give us a follow.